Okay, welcome back. Now, in this video, we want to extend deeper the writing of Python classes. We can, first of all, first go back to the convention of self. Okay, let me utilize okay. So I'll repress that with self and yes. So I also want to take this back to main because, we should stick to conventions. Okay, so but now we know why we use this. We use self, and it shouldn't be an intimidating word whenever we see it in other people's code. Okay, we have talked about this word self, but what is that time that you don't want to use the word self? For example, I will define a method here or a function within the class, and I'll call it greet with no self. And this greet will not take the keyword or the word self, and this will be name, or it can remain the name that we've defined, or name any other name. Okay, we can call this name with no self, and then we can say this is age with no self. So we have this function that when do we write a function in Python and that function within a class, it doesn't have to take the self keyword. Now we can do the greeting first. F, and this function is going to greet hello. We can say hello name with no self. How are you doing? How are you doing today? I hope you made the age. So we want to put the age here, and this will be the age with no self. So we've defined a function within a class without the self keyword. And if we run this function, you can be sure that it will raise an error. If we come to person1 instance and try to print, if we print person1 dot greet with self, that should be greet with no self. Greet with no self. Greet with no self. Okay, I hope I got the function right. Okay, so if we run this function, you can be sure that we are going to get an error. Why an error occurs? It's because we are not using self. And what does self do? Self, whenever an instance of the class is created, whenever I create an instance of the class, the self keyword or the self word or the first word here makes sure that the constructor assigns the class with all the parameters that have been attached to the class. And in this case, because we don't have that keyword there, we are going to create an empty instance whereby these two parameters will be missing, and it will let us see the error that will be given to us. Okay, so this one runs, but now this one doesn't run with missing one required position argument. And what's that position argument that we are missing? It is the class instance itself, because whenever the class is created, whenever I create an instance of the class, the constructor, its role is to pass all the arguments, is to pass all the arguments of all the parameters of the constructor onto that instance of the class, and it takes that creation as a single argument, and that's what is happening here. So that's why we have this error. But if we want to do this, because there are situations where you will need to create functions that its parameters will not depend on those defined within the constructor. And if you want to do that, what do? That's when you use the keyword, the static annotation in Python. And this static method, what it really does is sort of like telling you that you can create a function that does not receive those parameters, and it can be called on the class itself. So in order to say that, to put it in the language that is clearly understood, is the instance of the class doesn't need to provide those arguments. We can provide those arguments when we are creating the class itself. So in order to do that, that's when we use for us to run this. Now let's see. Of course, we are going to get an error again, but let's see which error are we getting. When we run, yes, but now we are saying we are now missing two required position arguments. The one for self with no name, and the one with age with no self. Now, that means it is no longer one argument of that instance that is created, but now we can supply the arguments at runtime when we want them. So this could be like Michael, and this could be the age could be maybe 23. Okay, so now if we do this, everything is Kawa. So hello, Michael, how are you doing today? I hope you made 23 years, whatever. So that's when you can use self, and I hope now you understand when to use self and when not to use it, and what happens when you use it and what happens when you don't use it. I hope this helps, and I want to ask you guys, if you like the video, please subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.